You mean everything to me because I know you mean everything to Christ. And Christ means everything to me.
And I called on the Lord. I said, that Father, this is real. Will you watch over them? Will you raise them up to be strong? I'm just a man with flesh. This is what you called for in your scriptures. You said they wore studs and fringes, they got it on. You said they follow the law, they doing it. You said under your house shine, they ought to love one another. And they doing it.
We're in front of the Israeli School, Universal Practical Knowledge, the Philadelphia Division, here at 3226 Cheltenham Avenue in Philadelphia. We're standing in front of the school right now, getting a description of the 12 tribe sign that's been painted by one of the brothers that was in the school: Judah, Benjamin, Levi, Simeon, Zebulun, Ephraim, Manasseh, Gad, Reuben, Naphtali, Asher, and Issachar. Those are the 12 tribes of Israel.
Shalom. Shalom. You've been waiting for this day, so this day has finally come. A lot of you have been wondering where this knowledge that you've been hearing is coming from, and the powerful truth that you've been hearing, how this was established. When we finally were able to arrange for the priests to come down from New York and spend some time with us. And I'd like to introduce them if I can. These are some great brothers. We're very glad to have them with us. We want to make them feel as warm as possible because this is their work and the extension of their work and what they've laid down some time ago. I'd like to introduce, first of all, priest and six-shield general, fourth in command in the nation of Israel, Lahab. I'd like to salute this brother. March up. Barak. Yeshabim, which means sit. And I'm going to turn it over now to priest General Lahab.
Water, brother. I'd like to say this, starting off, we're very impressed at your school here, and we're very impressed to see that the brothers and sisters in Philadelphia think enough of the Most High and the Bible and the truth and your nationality to be a part of this, because most of the brothers and sisters are running from the truth.
Ironic.
You know the truth is the truth, that's all I know. Cry loud and spare not, you gon' get exposed. A few real niggas left, you not one of those. Real soldiers, we was born to stand 10 toes. If he ain't one West, that nigga not one of mine. He got a purple 12, me, I got a black 9. The truth is the wife of my youth, chopper my concubine. Had to die to get my rib, that bitch forever mine. You know the game, a bishop gotta be blameless. But GMS teaching niggas to be rapists. They screaming we snitch. When Joel Morgan was killed by your brother, y'all ain't say shit. Real prophets only dwell in the UPK, PSA, we don't sign NDAs. Real prophets only dwell in the UPK, PSA, we don't sign NDAs.
Hey. 100 deep, 100 shields on, that's 100 priests. 100 boots, that's 200 feet. Tongue like a sword when I fucking speak. Teach you how to fish instead of fucking leech. Stop selling drugs instead of trying to fuck with me. Knowledgeable, but I'm rude in my fucking speech. Life is about warfare, not no fucking peace. Hey bitch, I cry loud when I fucking speak. Make them wait a year before they fuck with me. Turn a street nigga to a fucking priest. Cross a priest and I promise you forever sleep.
One West, that's who we are, nigga. One West, so who is y'all, nigga? One West, we want it all, nigga. That's who we are, nigga. So who is y'all, nigga? One West, that's who we are, nigga. One West, so who is y'all, niggas? One West, we want it all, nigga. That's who we are, nigga. So who is y'all, niggas?
UPK soldiers got them killers with me. And I don't fuck with every spot cause it's too iffy. Real motherfucking prophet cause the Lord with me. But don't get that shit twisted, I got Drake's with me. Yeah, bitch, and that whole 50. Run up on me wrong, you gon' catch 60. Wait, you gon' catch 20. The other 30 for your homies, bitch, I got plenty. And I'll shoot this motherfucker till that clip empty. Taking orders from your bitch, you a fucking simpy. Shit, should be televised. The way I'm cutting niggas up, bitch, I'm a samurai. Niggas swear they in the truth, but telling hella lies. Stumping like you Greek, bitch, you Hellenized. The revolution gon' be televised. And what I see in my vision gon' leave you petrified.
One West, that's who we are, nigga. One West, so who is y'all, nigga? One West, we want it all, nigga. That's who we are, nigga. So who is y'all, nigga? One West, that's who we are, nigga. One West, so who is y'all, niggas? One West, we want it all, nigga. That's who we are, nigga. So who is y'all, niggas? UPK soldiers lead cowards and all. So fuck a gas stop, I came with 6 pumps in my car. My niggas ready to swing, we like kids at the park. So touch a chair around this bitch and we breaking your jaw. They think we Christian, but we not. Nothing about us is soft. I don't know what you niggas on, but that shit get you off. We booted up. We came to take zones for real. Black 40 under my garment, I be dressed to kill. Fourth dimension sitting linger, I be fresh for real. Putting scripts on your corners, but these here ain't pills. We rock covers. You official if you know those drills. Bread and water, you official if you know those meals. Yeah, you niggas soldiers get rolled over. You got police in your pocket, I got a judge in my holster. Oppressors out to get us, so remain sober. Or be chained to them chains till there's nothing that remains of us. A cult leader like Christ, we got the same culture. I bang on them, tell my enemies the reign's over. I up the sig and keep pulling like a chain smoker. The game ain't changed, One West stayed the same on them. One West, that's who we are, nigga. One West, so who is y'all, nigga? One West, we want it all, nigga. That's who we are, nigga. So who is y'all, nigga? One West, that's who we are, nigga. One West, so who is y'all, niggas? One West, we want it all, nigga. That's who we are, nigga. So who is y'all, niggas?
Niggas talking prophets, yeah, we got plenty. We the reason why it's Israelites around the city. Call Kazak, tells a rock, bring Shamara. We about to slide on them, see what niggas talking about. Young dog think he wise cause he a Kemet head. That shit lame, they didn't survive, nigga, Kim is dead. Where I'm from, little nigga, is a dirty game. I pledge allegiance to Yahweh, bitch, I'm UPK. Nigga, let's talk bodies. Set up on your corner, wake up everybody. Big priest, until I'm dead deceased. The mission is complete until you're off the street. Saw y'all on the internet, stumping down the street. But take the poor and the weak. Touch your sister or brother, you gonna be sleep. But take the poor and the weak.
One West, that's who we are, nigga. One West, so who is y'all, nigga? One West, we want it all, nigga. That's who we are, nigga. So who is y'all, nigga? One West, that's who we are, nigga. One West, so who is y'all, niggas? One West, we want it all, nigga. That's who we are, nigga. So who is y'all, nigga?
Fucking with the brothers, then I'm giving out major pain. Clip full of ball heads, I'm shooting out Damon Wayne's. Driven ambition, I ain't never changing lanes. Wise as an old man, but I ain't slanging cane. This ain't a game, this shit way deeper than rap. You speaking the cap, but the shit y'all speaking is cap. I'm 5,000, but I still keep it a stack. I'm in the truth, not cause back then I was seeking the fact. Cry loud for the niggas that's deep in the back. And the Lord with me, ain't no reason for keeping the strap. We peep the attacks, niggas say we ain't speaking the facts. Stealing breakdowns every time we teaching in class. Niggas snitching, y'all out here squeaking with rats. We be on the street corners teaching that Jesus is black.
We on 120
25th Street, Harlem, nigga. You see where we at?
One West, that's who we are, nigga. One West. So who is y'all, nigga? One West. We want it all, nigga. That's who we are, nigga. So who is y'all, nigga? One West. That's who we are, nigga. One West. So who is y'all, niggas? One West. We want it all, nigga. That's who we are, nigga.
Hey, shalom. Yeah, about Shimon Shabrak. What's going on?
Can you hear me, sir? Oh, yeah, we good.
God.
Y'all about StreamYard Shabrak. I was Jamarla thought about StreamYard was shot to the sisters. Israel. We are the ISUPK under commanding General Yohana. Right, started 125th Street, Harlem, New York. Been running this teaching since 1969. If you're not in the ISUPK, you're not in the truth. If you ain't paying your tithes and offerings to the ISUPK, you giving them to a strip club. I'm just gonna let you know that.
God.
That out. You're giving them to a peg master strip club if you're not paying tithes to the ISUPK and you're paying to somebody else. You know, in the last couple of weeks, we've learned some things about the so-called hard-headed children of Israel. And we can say with confidence every single week that if you're not in the ISUPK, you're not in the truth, right? And we're saying that tonight is the history class. And with this being a history class, we got to bring up some history, right, sir?
Yeah.
We got to bring up some history. So it's summertime in the D. And with it being summertime in the D, you got more individuals outside enjoying themselves. You know, the warmer, well, it's not summertime, it's springtime, but you know, you get the warmer weathers, right? And when you start to get the springtime going into the summertime, you get the warmer weathers and you start to see people come outside without, you know, coats, without jackets, you know. You see them in their, you know, their, what would you call it? They're casual clothes. You're not in your winter clothes no more. You're in your springtime clothes. We're going into your springtime clothes. You know, you don't have as many layers on anymore, right, sir? What's the temperature? What's the temperature you got out there in Windsor right about now? What's the range?
Today, I'm not sure what it is today. I've been inside all day.
You've been inside all day. Well, let me tell you something. You know, yeah, I have to keep my cover on, my jacket on. But today, it's a little warm. We're gonna take this off right now, and we're taking it off. Look, I got on the t-shirt, UPK t-shirt. Look at me. But some people don't wear as much clothes as we do. You know, you rarely see one of them UPK soldiers in shorts unless they hooping. Unless you got somebody like Zarok and Kazak out there hooping or something like that, you might not see us in those shorts. You're gonna see us in, you know, we're ready for war at all times. You know, you got the boots on, you got the cargo pants or the fatigues on, you know, fringed up. You know, you might see us with a headpiece on. We're ready for war. But you know, our brothers and sisters here ain't really preparing for war. You know, they think it's fun and game time. When it's not fun and game time, if you part of the 12 tribes, right? This is not our rest. According to the scriptures, this is not our rest. So even though you might get a little piece of happiness in this hell, that don't mean we in heaven. That mean that damn devil probably just, you know, he lifted up off you for a little bit so he could plot another plan. He build another plan to destroy your ass. That's what he got going on right now. He might not be on your head, on your neck right now. You might not have the knee in your back, the knee on your neck. He might not be, you know, for 5-10 minutes. He might not unalive you for reaching for your cell phone, some Skittles, you know. He might not be kicking in your door while your wife in the shower and snatching her out the shower, throwing her, you know, unclothed onto the floor. You know, I ain't gonna say nothing about Nate. You know, he might not, you know, he might not do that for 5 or 10 minutes. And when not doing that for 5 or 10 minutes, you might feel for that 5 or 10 minutes that you are in the heaven. No, that just means that the devil is plotting something else. You know, them devils in office is plotting something else on you. And while they plotting something else, they ease back to see what you do so they can go ahead and hit you with another plan, right? But, you know, around here in Detroit and Windsor, what we got going on this weekend, we're going to be speaking that word in Toronto. We're going to get out there on the, you know, have camp in Toronto. So this is our first camp. And this is our first camp in Toronto since in a minute.
Yeah, this is, I think it's been, we didn't go last year, so.
This would be my first time going.
God.
To Toronto to do camp. This would be my first time going. Right? You know, I went and got that enhanced license and the passport. You know, you can't stop me. I can't wait to get out there and call a devil to his face. I'm excited.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good too.
Please.
You know, and something you were saying, you know, about people thinking, you know, or just understanding that this isn't an arrest. It's like going out to Toronto to be able to give brothers and sisters the truth. Like it's something that is so valuable to our people that it will truly get us out of the condition that we're in. Like this history class that we have tonight, we're going to give brothers and sisters knowledge that is going to help them out of their condition. It's going to help them understand and make sense of the world around them. You know, something Christ said that ye shall know the truth and the truth shall set you free.
Damn right.
There's nothing greater than the truth. There's nothing greater than having knowledge. You know, like the scriptures say, that knowledge shall be the stability of thy times. Like when you get in these classes, when you listen to us, when we're teaching on the street, when you're taking in this different wisdom that we're giving you, these are the things that are going to help us get to our heaven. You know what I mean? Like we don't understand as a people that we're blood descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. We don't understand as a people that the Most High made a promise to Abraham that he would give his seed a beautiful land flowing with milk and honey, a beautiful land rich in resources, where we would actually have our own nation. We wouldn't be, you know, second class, third class citizens, you know, to the people that beat our backs. We wouldn't be second class citizens to the Asians, the Africans, but we would receive knowledge that would allow us to have our own country and govern ourselves, where we wouldn't have to eat the crumbs from our oppressors. We could actually have something beautiful and be in what is called heaven. Salakia.
You know, and before we go any farther, you know, you spoke about wisdom. Over here, I was reading the scripture the other day. So in Proverbs 7, right? Proverbs 7, we're going to go to, where is this? Proverbs 7 and 4. It says, say unto wisdom, thou art my sister, and call understanding thy kinswoman. You know, wisdom and understanding in this passage is looked at as women. And, you know, it's so heavy you brought wisdom and understanding out. And then, you know, this scripture speaks of those wisdom and understanding as women, right? Because think about what you see a beautiful woman, you know, a beautiful righteous woman. What you want to do? You know, if this woman's single, you want to hold her close to you. You want to have that woman with her being single. And you know, it says, call wisdom thy sister. How do you look at your sister? Right? You don't let your sister just get out there willy-nilly. Right? Your sister is the best sister on the planet. Right? So you don't allow things to happen to your sister that you may just watch somebody else, some other woman, you know, some what you call it, some heathen woman deal with. Right? It says, call understanding thy kinswoman. Thy kinswoman. That means that woman is related to you. That woman is like a sister, a aunt, a mother. And how do you treat and respect and honor those individuals, right? If they, you know, they're in this truth. Think about how you respect and honor those women in the truth, right? And that's how we treat and respect and honor wisdom and understanding. But let's get to the fun part. Y'all already know Officer Shariwan and myself like to create a little bit of controversy. So this topic, him and I we talked about a couple times earlier this week about this topic.
Okay.
And before we jump into our topic, we wanna say some we wanna let you know this is history. Sometimes history is harsh, right? Sometimes history is so harsh, it make you sick to your stomach from the things that were done to us in throughout our history. And this society tries to make our history start at slavery, right? So since this society wants to start our history of slavery, let's bring out some things that happened during slavery. What you think, sir?
Yeah, let's get into that.
Let's bring out some things. And before we Israel, my question is, before you got any questions or comments in the chat, sir? Rocky, did he want to jump in?
Who's that?
I think Brocchiala out of was it Toronto?
Oh no, he just we got brothers and sisters checking in. That's it.
Oh, okay. So I got a question for you, Israel. For those 3 people, 2 people, 4 people, or 1,000 that's listening and checking this class out right now. We probably need about 2 million views on this class. So help us get the algorithm up. Like, share, subscribe, pay your tithes. That's a bar. Like, share, subscribe, pay your tithes. I'm about to get like Cap in a minute. So, right. So, does anyone out there listening know what a fancy girl is? Right? Does anybody understand what a fancy girl is? Hair done, nails done, you fancy. You know that song, don't you? I see you like you fancy, huh? Right? Does anybody out there know what a Redbone is? Anybody know what a yellow bone is? Sir, you know what a Redbone is? I'm sure. I don't know if they use this term in Ontario in Windsor.
I believe it's just the skin complexion of a sister.
You see that you walk downtown, you see that Redbone. That's that one that make you go,
Okay.
You see that Redbone, you see that yellow bone, like, But until I remember when I was younger, in the D, you had your Redbone, had your yellow bone, you was that guy, you was that nigga, you was the man, right? Even though it might be a dark skinned, a dark complected sister that's out of this world, for some reason we were more attracted to the yellow bones and the red bones. So before I'm gonna pull up yellow bone first, right? So this is AI overview. It says the term yellow bone is primarily used within the in the Black community, right? And when I say Black community, that means Black community. I've heard some Hispanics also call women a red bone. That's that roll. That's what they say. That's that roll. Roll is Spanish for red. It says to describe a light complected or a light skinned Black person. No, we don't use it for light skinned Black persons. We use it for light skinned Black women, right? In the heterosexual community, right? We use it for light skinned women. Say with yellowish undertones in their skin, right? That's a yellow bone, that thick yellow bone, right? Watch this. I'm gonna go to. You say here's the breakdown and the meaning of the associate concept. Skin tone refers to Black individuals with a lighter complexion often described as having a yellow or gold hue, right? So then I'm gonna jump over to the term red bone. Right now, red bone can refer to multiple things, with the most common meaning a slang term for a black woman with a light skin tone, often with red undertones or hair. It can also refer to a group of mixed individuals in Louisiana. We don't want to hear about no breed of dog or no, it's a Native American rock band called the Redbone too. But we talking about these red bone and yellow bone women, as you see passing by in this summertime around here in the city of Detroit, or in the city of Windsor, the city of Toronto. Wherever you're from, wherever you at. If you need some more breakdowns on red bone and yellow bone, please ask myself or my other one here, and we will break it down to you more. Right? Now, it says slang for a black woman. Red bone is used as a term for a black woman with a lighter complexion, often characterized by a red undertone, skin, or hair. Right? Now, it says the same thing that yellow bone said about the mixed race in Louisiana. Sir, let me know if you want me to stop, because I will continue.
No, go ahead.
Right now, why would we bring up red bones? Why would we bring up yellow bones? Right? Why would we bring up such things for history class? History is history, right? I asked one question. My question was, what's a fancy girl? So you know what a fancy girl is? And the history of a fancy girl?
You're asking me?
Yeah, I was asking you. I didn't see it. I didn't see it jump up in the comments, but
yeah, I just I had an article because you put me onto this. I never heard of a fancy girl until we spoke about it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had an article that I had read through just to better understand, what this is.
Well, Salakia.
Yeah, so from my understanding on what I've read up on it so far is that this was a sister that I guess you damn near say was sex trafficked.
Yes, sir.
That's probably the best word to define it. She was sex trafficked during slavery, being sold to different slave owners, to be used for their pleasure.
Yeah, but one other thing to add on to that is that with those women, the fancy girls being trafficked, trafficked during slavery. The thing about it is, why were certain women, sex trafficked, and others were not?
Mm-hmm.
So let me, I'm gonna pull this out of Wikipedia real quick. It says a fancy girl, sometimes called a fancy maid, was a young woman of African descent with a lighter complexion, sold with the intent for forced prostitution and concubinage. The sale was often referred to as the fancy trade. Within the larger history of slaves in the United States, at least one American slave trader also advertised fancy boys for sale.
Dang. And if I may, and so what it's saying is this was a trade where only if you had a certain skin complexion you were a part of.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Right. So understand, these were the lighter complected slave women, as well as slave, it was lighter complected slave women, as well as the slave men or boys and girls that were trafficked during our, during the slave trade during in the United States,
God.
right?
I got a question for you.
Please.
And I'm not sure if I'm jumping the gun, but do you know why it was specifically light-skinned women?
Why was
like why did they, you could say, basically exclude dark-skinned women?
Well, understand this is that I had to look deeper into it, but if I was to speculate, understand that during the slavery, the white woman was was the female goddess or whatever the fuck you want to call it during that time. She was so, to everybody, she was so honorable and beautiful and all that kind of stuff. If you like that type of trash, right? So, the lighter complected slave men and women were, the next step above white.
Got you.
Even to this day, you got people that prefer you got black people, that prefer lighter skin mates. Because think about it, black was, brothers, my complexion was ugly during slavery. Think about how, if you look at the cartoons that were drawn, they never drew no medium complected black man, right? They didn't draw the medium complected black man. He was black with big red lips, right? Look at if you watch the televisions and models and Oscars and award shows, until recently, all those people awarded, all those with the best models and stuff like that, they were all white women. They were all white women. You got basketball players to this day, they can't keep their hands off of white women. You know what I'm saying? The first thing they want to do, Tiger Woods, keep him one.
Damn.
Or two, according to his ex-wife, right? So you understand is that men the men in the 12 tribes are so, because of slavery, they were pushed to be attracted to this damn devil, this she devil, and it cascades into now, right? It cascades into now when you got all our people, especially, well, I ain't gonna say all our people. You got, a good percentage of our people, especially men, that's going after the she devil, right? And with hold on. And we're going after that, you do a lot of things. You diminish your bloodline, right? You get the what's her name? The Brat. The Brat said that she didn't want to have when her and her so-called wife went and artificially inseminated because two women can't make no baby. Right? When they went ahead and did that, the Brat looked at all the black men and called them ants.
Yeah, I remember that.
They actually made a joke and called them ants. They chose a white man to be the father of their child. Right? That goes back to slavery and conditioning. The sad part about it is this, who is that? Cat Williams. Cat Williams said it best. He said, you're going to have a white man with two strong black women as mothers. You ain't tell shit. Right. Cat Williams said, you ain't going to be able to tell him nothing. And I'm looking for an article I seen in right. I'm looking for an article that I was looking for, Trying to find it right now.
Salaki, did you have more on that Wikipedia one, or are you done with that?
A little bit more, but go ahead, because I'm trying to find the article, the one I really wanted, right?
No worries. And that something I'm thankful for this truth in is as well. It's like when you get into school, you learn that, it says in the Bible that my heritage is a speckled bird. The 12 tribes of Israel, we're all different shades of brown.
Yes, sir.
From light skin to dark skin. Like my one Ottawa used to always say, we got 12 beautiful flavors to pick from. You understand? And that ideology or that colorism that we suffer from as a people, we really got to throw that shit in the garbage. You know what I mean? When you really sit down and think about it, just to be able to view our people, brothers, sisters, whatever it may be, don't matter if you're light skinned, dark skinned, that means absolutely nothing. You understand? You can find beauty in hundreds of different colors. Everything except I don't know if I can say that. But you understand? It's just and even this ideology that I hear about, and maybe this is different places, maybe depending on where you grew up, because parts in Canada when I grew up, we never had a thing of light skin, dark skin. Nobody cared. And I remember it wasn't until I was I think I was 12 years old, and I moved to Florida. And there was a brother I was playing basketball with, and I don't know how it came up, but I guess somebody asked me my nationality or something, and I said I was black, and he said, "What? You're not black?" He's like, "You're red." I was like, yeah, he said I was red. I was confused. I was like, "What?" I never heard that before. Where I grew up, it was around all Benjamin. Nobody ever said that, at least in the area that I was. He said I was red, and I was like, "Huh?" And that was the first time that concept of red bone, yellow bone, and all that stuff, I started to learn about. But just saying it to say, we didn't care if you were light skinned, dark skinned. You understand? We thought you were beautiful. If I could, a lot of brothers, we thought the darker you were, the more beautiful you were. You know what I mean? So I'm wondering if that has to do with the area you grew up in as well.
Well, I just sent you something, sir, that you might want to. And hold on, I can send you one other thing. Might want to do this one first.
I got 2 articles that you sent me.
Yep. Okay, I'm about to send you this other one too. Right. You might want to play this one first.
Okay.
Because what I'm looking for is I had an article that I can't find. I had an article for Slovakia of because understand the fancy girls were sold for much more than any other slaves. Understand slaves were going, if you look at, in the 1800s, slaves were going for, anywhere between 150 to 300 bucks. Mm-hmm. Most of the slaves, depending on how valuable those slaves were, right? That's what a slave went for. Fancy girls went for $1,500 minimum and up, mm-hmm. Right? So I was trying to find the comparison of the cost to today, because $1,500 in the 1800s, woo wee. You understand that might be, that could be, anywhere upwards of $80,000-$90,000, right? So that's what I was looking for. But if you got the article that you wanted to go over, let's hit it.
Yeah, I got one I wanted to go through because there was something that I thought, at least one of the things I found was extremely diabolical about this, and it speaks to a slave plantation that was breeding these women.
Yeah.
And they were breeding these women, you know, for the sole purpose of, you know, selling them, you know, making money off them, which is extremely diabolical. So I'll bring that article up while I get your other articles. Let me share my screen real quick. This was an article named "Fancy Girls: How Light-Skinned Enslaved Girls Were Bought and Sold for Sex in the 19th Century America." And I know we're gonna get into a lot of history of this, but this is the one part I wanted to read over. And it says, let me zoom in a little bit. And so this is from a book. Where it was chapter 6 of this book. It says, "Breeding and selling mulattoes on Calvin Smith's plantation or the Bargrass farm. From 50 to 60 head of women were kept constantly for breeding. No man was allowed to go there save white men. From 20 to 25 children a year were bred on that plantation." You hear that, boy?
It says, so that no man was able to come to that plantation?
Except for white men. Those were the only men allowed at that plantation were white men.
Damn.
Go ahead.
I said, damn, that's horrible.
God. So this Calvin Smith's plantation, they're specifically breeding women. Yeah, I mean, like Lord knows what they're doing with the male childs that are being born, but you know, these sisters, they're breeding, it said, from 20 to 25 children a year. You understand? And it's something, you know, I mean, something I've heard Cap Kotza say so many times is that, you know, we were shipped here on cargo slave ships. Like we really gotta understand that this was like we were a commodity. We weren't looked at as human. We weren't looked at as, you know what I mean, like just a human being or people or whatever. We were inventory to white people.
Inventory, that's it.
And we still are today. Like they see you are a dollar sign to them. You're somebody who, you know, makes their country and their government money. That's what we are here in North and South Central America. We're just inventory. You understand? And that's how this entire country was established. And so this is why you had so many civil wars when people are speaking about, you know, ending that hard bondage slavery, because how is the country going to run now if you don't have inventory anymore? How is the country going to run if you don't have these people building your nation? You understand? That's all we've ever been here. And so, you know, as they quote unquote claim take us out of hard bondage, their government has to come up with ways to keep their system running. They got to find creative ways to keep you working and building their economy. Otherwise, they don't have a country.
Not at all.
You know what I mean? Like, what was that 13th Amendment they put? They said, you know, you're a free man unless you've committed a crime.
Kind. If I may say something to that, sir, real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Remember I asked earlier about I looked up the inflation rate, you know, so these women were going for like a minimum of like $1,500 to $2,000 and up, right? So $1,500 to $2,000 in 1760 was between, in today's worth, is between $77 to $88,000.
Say the number one more time. You said 77,000.
Well, $2,000 in 1765
Right.
was worth to the inflation rate in today's money would be $88,000.
$88,000. Good.
Damn near $90,000, right, sir?
Right.
So with damn near with these women, being $90,000, 85 to $90,000, and you had a plantation that was pushing out 24 of them. What'd you say? A year?
Yeah, they're saying 20 to 25 children a year.
20 to 25 children a year, and this is just at the low end. This is just between $1,500 to $2,000 during that time, right? What if you had these mass producers? Understand this: the devil is diabolical. So he was mass producing these men and women, right? So he's pushing out, like you said, he's pushing out 25 a year, right? That's close to what? 250,000. Hold on, do I got those numbers right? So if one of them is damn near 100,000, right? One is 100,000. You pitching 20 to 25 a year. That's 2 to 2.5 mil a year.
That's right, 2 to 2.5 mil. That's right.
So imagine $2 to $2.5 million a year banging out your plantation, because you selling light complected fancy girls and fancy boys, right?
That sounds like a good business.
Sounds like a good business to me. When I say business, I mean the revenue. Understand, we're not talking about selling our sister. Let's do a disclaimer. We're not talking about selling our sisters, right? But what we're looking at is the financial revenue that the oppressor made off for selling the bodies of our brothers and sisters. This is just what he made off of selling the bodies. Yeah. So you go out, you buy you a $1,500, $2,000 fancy girl, right? So you're not buying her to you don't spend. Well, I can't say that. I'm not spending $1,500, $2,000 back in. And this is an investment. I'm about to make a damn, what you call it, a plant. You understand what I'm saying? This is a plant. This is an investment. That $1,500 then, or that's $80,000, $85,000 then was an investment, right? So what these women did, think about it. They sold them as sex slaves. So we sell them as sex slaves. They're going to go out and get willy-nilly and loose because they have to. And then, right, the slave owner is going to have her sell her body so that he can make some money back. Right?
Yeah,
I was trying to find an article of what the slave owner sold her for at the time, and I couldn't find one. So if you have that.
You saying a price?
What's the price of each sexual encounter with the fancy girl?
They might have that in this article. I would have to go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let me shut up.
Yeah, I'll finish this one part, and then I'll see if I can find the price of that.
Okay.
It says, as soon as they are ready for market, they are taken away and sold as mules or other cattle. Many a man buys his own child. That is the cause of the rapid increase already alluded to of the mixed race. The Anglo-Saxon must blame himself for all the consequences that may result in time or eternity from such an unnatural state of things. I have seen brother and sister married together, and their children, some of them, as white as any person in the world. These children marrying among the whites, their children are white, and these have slaves in their turn after having been slaves themselves. So they were, you could say warning each other that this is a dangerous business because your children might, become white. Basically is what they're saying. Yeah. that was to them, that was a danger for them, because God forbid, you know, we make some white babies and they become slave owners.
So you said, God forbid, we make some white babies and they become slave owners, right?
Yeah, like the because I guess in their mind that, you know, they're not looking at it as the man carries the seed.
Yeah.
So they're just looking at the color. And so if these kids, you know, like what's that brother's name that plays ball? They always use him as an example. I can't remember his name, but he was a light skinned brother who married a blonde haired woman, and then he's an Israelite. They have a son. This child just looks like a blonde haired, blue eyed European boy.
Yeah, but understand is that their issue is that they understand these slave owners, they sold, you know, these male slave owners, they sold their own children. These their own they trafficked their own children into the sex trade. These were their children because they didn't allow, think about it, at the plantation, they didn't allow any other men, you know, especially not no black men, no Native American man, no Hispanic man, to show up at this plantation that they pumping these fancy girls and boys out of. Right? I got a scripture for you, sir.
Go ahead.
Job verse 3 and 3. Right? Understand is that us going into slavery was a curse. If you go back to Deuteronomy 28 and 68, it was a curse for us, you know, because we didn't follow the law, statutes, and commandments of the Most High God. That was a curse. Deuteronomy also speaks about in and I should have found that scripture. It also speaks about that, you know, they would take, and I'm paraphrasing, they would take away your children and you don't have no strength in your hand. You can't protect your children, right? It speaks about that. But Joel 3 and 3 is it double downs on it. It says, this is Joel 3 and 3. And they have cast lots for my people, and they have given a boy for an harlot, and sold a girl for wine that they might drink. Right? We was all financial commodities to these people. Right? You know, I was talking to my biological brother the other day, and you know, I was picking with him because he had dated a devil, and you know, things went sour. And right, and the first thing, you know, after they get into that argument, you know what happens when y'all break up? You was big Mandigo, and now all of a sudden you nigger. Right? And I told him, I say the problem is that if you know, if it wasn't for, you know, the Most High intervening, right? If white people would have treated, you know, their slaves similar to the way they treat their dogs, niggas probably would have never wanted to get out of slavery. Look what these devils do to their dog. Dog, lick them in the face, sleep in their bed. They making cook food and, you know, give them coats and jackets and stuff. Think about what they do to a dog. So imagine if the slave owner would have treated the black man, Native American man, Hispanic man, just like his dog, his favorite dog. Niggas wouldn't want to leave slavery. Slack, sir.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's so true. It's a sad reality.
So you got some more on that article?
Yeah, I'm gonna read a little more on this one part. It's almost done. It says, these children marrying among the whites, their children are white, and these have slaves in their turn after having been slaves themselves. So yeah, that's exactly the example I was given. It's, you know, this white man sleeps with a sister. They'd have what you call a red bone or a light skinned sister, or, you know, brother or sister, and then they go in and sleep with another white person, and now they're considered white in America. You know what I mean? And now these white people are going off to becoming slave owners. You know what I mean? Or not being treated as slaves. And so it said, on Wade Hamilton's farm, the same process went on to a great extent. Each planter vying with the other to see who could raise the greatest number of mulattoes a year for market, as they bring a higher price than the blacks. The same as men strive to raise the most stock of any kind, cows, sheep, horses, etc. You know what I mean? They're looking at you like animals. They're looking at you like cattle. On this plantation, they're just trying to breed as many mulattoes or redbone, you know what I mean, as possible.
Think about it, sir. If you bred goats, right? If you bred cows, what you got to do is if you breed cattle, right? You breed that, you get that steer, right? You got cows and bulls. You get that one bull, you get the bull, right? And you use that bull, and you want to find the most fertile milk, the most fertile and most milk producing cow, and you put them together. You put them together because if you have a female cow, she's fertile and produces much, baby cows and as much milk as the mother. Right? And if you want to, I wish Kazak, Kazak good with breeding. He breed them dogs, right? So, and if you wanted to breed more studs, because you might, after this stud wear out and you got to chop him up and eat him, then you're going to need another one. Right, so you want one of them out of that lineage of the stud that you had that help you put the rest of these cows on your farm. You see what I'm saying? I got a quick piece of history going on right here. It's called the Edmond sisters.
Hey,
now,
if I could,
please.
One quick thing before you get to that. I found that information you were looking for.
Oh, sweet. Let's get it.
One quick thing. It says girls sold as fancy girls fetched higher prices than field hands. One notable example is Louisa Pickett, who was just 14 years old when she was sold in 1841 for $1,500 in Mobile, Alabama. She later recounted how she was forced to undress immediately after purchase so that the buyer could inspect her naked body.
If I may, sir.
Yep, go ahead.
Now, now I got to ask about a movie. Movie time, right?
you know I don't watch no movie.
And the movie is going to be the movie we talked about so much, Django.
Oh, damn, God.
You watched that yet, sir?
I got through half of it.
Yeah, so at the end, well, not at the end, but towards 60-70% ways into the movie, when the German was trying to buy the Django's wife back, because she spoke German, so they thought he wanted her because he wanted to speak to her in his native tongue. Right. And the first thing that Calvin Candy did was when she came in there to speak with the German, snatched her clothes off. Right. So these movies are depicting, true moments of history. Right. These devils know what they did. I understand this was a Quentin Tarantino movie, so he one of those imposters, So he's one of them small hats, Quentin Tarantino, right? So his people documented well. He's not just what our people have to understand. He is not just coming up with this scheme in a movie and writing this stuff down and all right, this is the movie we're gonna do. No, he is writing the history that his people taught him, and he put a little spin on it so you can laugh, so you can be emotional. You know what I'm saying? Things like that. He put his little spin on it, but he is writing actual pieces of history when he wrote that movie Django. Right? When he directed that movie Django, He knew what was going on. He knew what happened to our people because his ancestors, his forefathers told him what they did to us. But they won't tell you, all right, this is what we did to y'all. Because their biggest fear is we doing it back to them. And they should be afraid because we will.
They should be.
Right? But right here, if I may, this is the Edmondson sisters, Mary Edmondson and Emily Edmondson, right? They were born in 18. One was born in 1832. The other was born in 1835, right? So you know they were born into slavery. This is what this article says. Two respectable young women of light complexions were African American who became celebrities in the United States abolishment movement after gaining their freedom and slavery, right? On April 15, 1848, they were among the 77 slaves who tried to escape from Washington. On the Sooner, the Pearl, it says the Pearl, to sail up Chesapeake Bay to freedom in New Jersey. Although their efforts failed, they were freed from slavery by funds raised by the Congregational Plymouth Church in Brooklyn, whose pastor was Henry Ward something, a prominent abolitionist. After gaining freedom, the Edmondson sisters were supported to go back to school. They also worked, they campaigned, they bleachered throughout the north of the end of slavery in the United States. Now understand, these were two light-complected slave women, right? We already know what they did to the light-complected slave women, right? We can go into the earlier life, and it says, you know, like they fought to be freed from slavery, right? But once, you know, once you capture a slave, you got to beat him. If a slave escaped, you got to beat him. So they go from being, you know, fancy girls, we're making $1,500, $2,000 to field hands. Now you're only making, you know, $150, $200, $300 because they tried to escape so many times, right? Which is nuts because if you're a slave, what do you try to do? We do it we want to escape this slavery so bad that it was a term. Do you remember the term that the slave master came up with he said it was an ailment for slaves that keep escaping. It was like a escape slave syndrome.
Oh, Khan. Yeah, they had the what was that called? It's on the tip of my tongue.
Look it up. Let me look it up.
Yeah, I can picture them saying it, like a brother would run, he would get caught, and they would say, "Oh, this brother has so and so syndrome." I can't remember the name of that. Shoot.
Spell syndrome. Oh, I got it. SYNDRO. Yeah, syndrome. I got it right. You know, y'all got to understand is I'm an engineer. I don't spell good. Drapetomania.
Yeah.
Drapetomania.
Drapetomania. Okay.
Now, understand that these devils were selling your children as slaves, you know, field hands. You know, you just had a young son and he's light complected. Now they sell him as a fancy boy. You just had a light complected baby, and eventually it's going to be sold. A baby girl eventually she's going to be sold as a fancy girl, right? She's sold to please the slave masters and their friends sexually, right? So understand why. You got to understand why wouldn't I want to escape? Why wouldn't I? As soon as I had a light complected baby, right? Guess what I'm trying to do? it's time for me to devise a plan to escape. Even if I didn't try to escape before, because we probably was them niggas that was always escaping in our past life. Probably was them niggas that got beat. Just look at it. You have to be because we're trying to escape now. Right?
And if I could, that's such a, that's such a sick thing, to teach our people that there's something wrong with you because you don't want to get your ass whooped. There's something wrong with you because, you're tired of working for free. You're tired of watching your brothers and sisters be, sexually assaulted, buck broken, and all this fuckery. Something wrong with us.
Something wrong with us, yeah.
Like they define it as a mental illness. You know what I mean? And that's the same kind of shit that they say to us today. You know what I mean? Like that's why and it's such a heavy verse in the Bible in Psalms when it says their words are smoother than butter.
Damn right.
War was in their heart. Like there's certain phrases that you gotta to come to realize that this is an attack on me. Somebody, if I say I want something better, and they want to look at me and call me crazy, or they want to look at me and what do? They yell at us where I can't get a job. You know what I mean? Like these things are like, this is war. You know what I mean? It says war was in their hearts. They are attacking you. You know what I mean? When they're trying to take away from you trying to get something better. Go ahead, Huck.
You said something that fit them perfectly, and the scripture describes. It said their words were smoother, right? Does the scripture say word or are? It says are smoother than butter, right?
They are smoother.
Their words are smoother than butter, right? So they're gonna sweet talk you. They're gonna do the same thing to you your Christian pastor does. He's gonna tell you what you want to hear. He's gonna sweet talk you, right? He's gonna tell you something that's going to dummy down your water down your feelings, your emotions, and the issues that you're having. And these are the same things as you see on these modern day, jobs at these plants, at these facilities that's owned by these oppressors. They try to water down and talk you down because you're the enraged black man or black woman that don't want to be in slavery no more, right? So you're trying to escape. And I tell my people all the time, when you're on these jobs, don't talk about how you trying to get into real estate, or you're trying to start a car shop or something like that to these oppressors, because they're going to ask you, one is that what's better than being here at the big three? What's better than being here at one of these fast food places, right? It's not that it's something better. It's not something better for you. They don't want you to get out of servitude, even if they're in servitude, right? I used to watch this show, and the show was about people going out finding these, their dream houses and stuff like that. I can't remember the name of it, right? So what I noticed is that I seen a sister, every now and then you will see a sister and a brother on there, right? And the sister, she'd be a judge, and the brother would be an architect, right? So, or the brother architect, the sister a judge, and then they're they would have like a 1.5 or a $2 million budget, right? So they got a 1.5 $2 million budget. So they got these people, house hunters is what it's called, I think, right? They got these people going out and they're looking for this house. But I would watch this same show, and then I would see the oppressors come out there, and they were like, "What you do for a living?" She's like, "Well, I'm a florist, and he's a dog walker." Who fucking dog you walking? Right? Our budget is $3.5 million. Your budget more than the judge and the damn architect? How? Right? How? And I could never understand how their budgets were more. This, SOB walk dogs. right? Who dog you got Michael Jackson and Prince dog? You know, who dog you walking? You walking Warren Buffett dog? Whose dog you walking? But you know, that's some of the crazy things that go through my head in this slavery. I want to escape. Speaking of escaping from slavery, the term drapetomania, is that how you enunciate it? Drapetomania? Drapetomania. Yeah, drapetomania.
That sounds right. Yeah.
So drapetomania was a proposed mental illness that in 1851, now remember that slavery so-called ended in 1865. They didn't come up with this drapetomania term until 1851, right? So slavery only got 14 years left, according to American history. American physician Samuel A. Cartwright hypnotized as the cause of enslaved Africans fleeing captivity. No, hypothesized. Let's say hypnotized. Hypothesized as the cause of enslaved Africans fleeing captivity. So his hypothesis was that the reason why these slaves kept trying to wanted to escape is because they were suffering from drapetomania. This hypothesis was based on the belief that slavery was such an improvement upon the lives of slaves that only those suffering from some form of mental illness would wish to escape. Now, they discovered that back then. They said slavery is such an improvement from what was going on with you before you became a slave that you have to have a mental illness to want to escape, right? But a boy wanting to be a girl ain't a mental illness, right? A brother want to put the hacksaw Jim Jug into his junk, you know, want to hack it off and say I'm a girl. That's not a mental illness. So your lifestyle was so bad in the past that you changing your gender, and I'm just comparing it to drapetomania, that you changing your gender and then you don't have a mental illness now, but because your life was so good then and you wanted to escape slavery, what's better than slavery? You suffer from a mental illness?
Yeah.
I got another paragraph for you. It said Cartwright specifically cited the tendency of slaves to flee the plantation that held them. Since slaves happy with the conditions would not want to leave, he inferred that such people had to be sick, impervious to the natural order of things, right? He says he published an article about black slaves, illnesses, and idiocracies in the Bow Review. Contemporarily reprinted in the South, Cartwright's article was widely mocked and satirized in the northern United States. The concept had been debunked as pseudoscience and shown to be part of the edifice of scientific racism, right? So understand this. If, like I said earlier, if white people would have treated their black Native American and Hispanic slaves as good as they treat their dog, maybe this would have been possible. You know, it'd be like, dude, you living a good life. You know, you can lick master in his face, you can sleep on his bed. You know, think about how they treat the dog. A dog His dog can piss in his house, take a crap in his house. He goes and clean it up, right? He goes and clean it up and then give his dog some food and a nice bed to lay in. In the movie Django, remember when the slave female, when she had dropped some eggs and broke them, they tied her ass to a tree and about to whoop her back. But the dog could knock over your expensive vase running through the house. Well, vase. It's called a vase when it's expensive. It's a vase when it's cheap, right? So your dog can knock over your expensive vase when they run through your house, right? And guess what? It's just a dog. You got some? I know you got some, sir. I know you're thinking.
Yeah, you know, my mind was just on, something we always say, you can't force a crown on a man's head.
Uh-huh.
And it's like how King Solomon said it. He saw princes walking as servants among the earth.
Yes.
So
and the servants on horse.
Yeah, and servants on horses in a high place, because Europeans, they were not meant to rule this world. Blacks, Hispanics, and indigenous, we were meant to rule this world. And it's such a sad thing that King Solomon saw, to see his people where it's like, we just accept the crumbs from our master's table.
That's heavy.
I mean, we've accepted this captivity that we're in, and so much so that, we don't got a problem with, certain mental health conditionings they put us on. Think of all the brothers and sisters back then that were telling other brothers and sisters, don't run, don't try to be free.
Don't try to be free, don't run. That's heavy.
You know what I mean? They're sitting there telling us, what's the problem? Just wake up, go to work, do your job. Master's gonna feed us. We got a little hut over here to live in. You know what I mean? We get to play here and there. We can sing our songs. We can dance.
We get Sundays off.
Good night.
Do some sun worshiping.
Right? Yeah,
right.
It's a sad state for our people, and that's not something Christ wanted for us. That's not something the Most High wanted for us.
You know what's so heavy, sir, is that our people don't even know. We've been in captivity for so long that we don't know how to rule.
Yeah.
Now, I know you seen the beginning of Django.
God. I'm caught up a little bit.
Remember in the beginning of Django, when the German was walking through the forest on a horse. He was on horseback going through the forest. He was looking for Django. And he had caught up with the slavers. So he caught up with the slavers, and then one of the brothers tried to pull a gun on him, and he gave him the pow, and dropped him. And then the other brother was hit and then fell off the horse, and the horse fell on top of him. He was pinned up under the horse, right? And he was like, the brother that's on the ground, the devil that's on the ground was like, he was pissed off that he had, unalived his brother, and he shot the horse. Remember? You get it?
Yeah,
that part. So understand, the German had gave the keys, the light, and the rifle to the slaves.
That's right.
While he interviewed the slaver, the slave trafficker that was trapped up on the horse. And they stood there with all the tools for freedom.
Yeah, they didn't know what the fuck to do.
And that's us right now. Right? The ISUPK is your tool to freedom. And our people don't want it. This truth, this Bible is your keys, your rifle, and that light, right? To freedom. Think about it. They could have easily unchained themselves, right? And ran to the north. They already got a rifle. They got a light. And the slavers had money. They could have went in their pockets. It'd have been a short movie. It was me, because as soon as he would have handed me the rifle, I would have finished off the the slaver. And I didn't know the damn German was on my team either, so he would have got it too.
They all gotta go.
Ran all their pockets, right? Because think about it, the German had a couple $1,000s with him, because he had been doing this bounty hunter. He was a bounty hunter, so he had been doing it for a minute. So he had some bread with him, right? But look at this. When they let him go, when he finally told them, it took for another Edomite to tell him they was free.
Dang.
Right? They told him it was free, and then he told them where the North Star was. Right? And not only did he tell him what the North Star was, as he leaving with Django, the slaver, one of the slavers that was still alive, he was like, "Hey, Blueberry, didn't I give you my last apple?" He said, "Nah, you guys carry me back to whatever he had to be carried back to, and I give you your freedom." His words are smoother than butter.
You know, what's crazy? I just had this thought. You know what I mean? Even thinking about that scene. If Donald Trump today told blacks, Hispanics, and indigenous, there's a land over in the Middle East that I'm going to give you. We're going to clear it out for you. You guys can go and you guys can have it. I bet you 80% of us would be looking at each other sideways. Like, what?
If Donald Trump said that, I'm not going over there. It's a trap. Anytime an oppressor has given us anything, it was a trap. Right? He gave the Native Americans blankets. Right? He gave them blankets. He gave them reservations. You see what I'm saying? He gave the Hispanic, the Barrios, right? And you know what he gave us? Crack. So anytime the oppressor give you anything, it's a trap. I got to look at it as a trap. You know why? Because he's never given us anything that was good for us. Name an oppressor. Even if you look at the NAACP, it's ran by oppressors. It don't do nothing for us, right? It doesn't. They come out and march and cry, and that's it. They're the big brothers to Black Lives Matter. They're nothing. Nothing, right? I told a brother the other day, because he was trying to tell me it was some good in them. You got some. What did he say? It was some good white folk.
Damn.
And that was funny to me, because how can you say good and white folk at the same time? And he said it in the same sentence too. I was surprised. I'm like, bro, you got dreads. You supposed to be down with the African dashiki or something, whatever. You're supposed to be super pro-black. That's what they put out. That's what they put out in all the movies and the music. That these, idiots with dreadlocks is the proest of the blackest, right? And at the same time, they're the ones that smoke blunts with you, destroying the temple. They're destroying their own temple. So I'm supposed to follow this fool? He's destroying his own temple?
Man, I'll take you one further. That dread got a white woman at home.
Got a white woman at home retwisting his dreads.
Black power and shit. He got a white woman at home.
Got that food, a pork chop sandwich with bacon on it. Right? Understand is that the devil has never given you nothing good, right? It was I read a story about I cannot remember her name. Her name was Sarah. It was a sister, right? It was a sister during slavery that was, forced into the sex trafficking. Her name was Sarah. I want to say Sarah Barthman or something like that. Oh, you done disappeared on me, brother. right? So, but this sister ended up passing away from syphilis or something like that because she was trafficking so much that she conducted she ended up with a STD and whatever it was, it killed her. We got any comments real quick, sir?
Yeah, there's a couple comments in the chat. Real quick, shout out to Princess Nazama Nan, Nashaga Bar, Barak Ya'ala, Princess Nawar, Kwamada Yahawada, Aisha Banath, and Sister Shamayam, Yabashima Shabakatham, Yahal Shamar, Alatha Bashima Shai. There's also, I'm not sure if there's a brother or not, but he had posted earlier. Did you know that in the 19th, or he said, did you know that in the 9th through the 14th century, the sex trade was in Ottoman Empire? Armenian and Georgian women we prize.
What? You talking about some other nation sex trafficking their daughter?
Sounds like he was speaking about another nation, which we're not concerned with. We're here to teach Blacks, Hispanics, and Indigenous.
I can't speak on the Armenian or the Russian men trafficking the Russian women, right? Or the Armenian women. If they're trafficking their own women, I can't speak on that, right? And until I will have to go out and talk to one of the brothers above me in order to bring that subject up in the class. I'm not familiar with what went on between the 4th and the 9th century of the Armenians, trafficking their sisters and mothers and aunts and things of that nature. So I don't want to give you any wrong information on some Edomite trafficking other Edomites.
Yeah, and he had said Armenian and Georgian women we prize. So I'm not sure if he's saying that, like he's a brother that stands with us and we prize their women. I'm not sure if that's not the context.
He said we cry?
He said we prized, like those women, the Armenian and Georgian women. He said we prize.
I don't get it. I don't understand it. If you understand it, break it down to me. I'm not.
Yeah, I would need some more information on what he's saying.
Yeah, I would need some more information to break down what you're talking about, sir. I don't know what his nationality is. His ethnicity. I don't know what that is, so I'm just gonna call him sir. To be respectful and straight up with you, right? I don't know anything about those individuals trafficking their own people. I've watched some movies about these. Usually when you watch these movies, it be the Russians and Chinese. They build their drug trade off of sex trafficking in these movies, right? And sometimes some movies have some truths to them, right? I don't know until I was to look into the history of those people that in depth to be able to explain what, when, and how they traffic their sisters.
If I could,
please.
Something that I can say without a shadow of a doubt is that there is no greater fornicator than Esau.
Damn right.
I mean, he will sex traffic anybody. That's his nature to be a sexual deviant.
You got to keep Esau away from the dogs, the goat, and the sheep.
God, you don't want your daughter to be a whore. Don't let white people raise your daughter. You know what I mean?
Right.
You don't want fornication and all these, STDs and sexual deviance you see. Do not let your children learn from Europeans because that is their nature. You know what I mean? They'll have you believe that you can go, a woman can go to a beach in a two-piece and she's not naked. You know what I mean?
Man, but at the same time, she could. Oh, Salakia, sir.
Yeah, that's it. You know what I mean? What is lingerie? That shit's out the window because you can go to a beach and that basically be naked.
You could be naked, right? And at the beach, and then say, "Oh, I got on a two-piece." I see cheeks.
I see cheeks.
I see cheeks. I see, your front butt. That's what general call it. I see the front butt sticking out. I see the behind sticking out. You know what I'm saying? And depending on what type of two-piece you on, you might see, a section of box, right? But yet and still, if these women go out to these beaches like that, right, and say that they're clothed, but if you sitting in the house and your girlfriend come over, you sitting in the house with your man, and your girlfriend come over in that same swimsuit, you gonna kick her ass out your house, or you gonna throw something on her because you don't want your man to see your girlfriend dressed that way. Dressed as a fancy girl. That's so heavy where it's allowed for you to be I say derobed. You could be unclothed and it's accepted over here and not accepted over here. The same thing. That's why we follow these laws, statutes, and commandments, because with us following these laws, statutes, and commandments, it's accepted everywhere around the world, right? Think about this. The Bible, and I heard an individual just text me and say, the Bible says, follow the law of the land. So I guess they're talking about if somebody could be naked, and it's lawful. No. If you follow this biblical law, I bet you any amount of money you're going to follow man's law, right? Man's law tell you not to kill. You can't unalive anybody unless, in self-defense. The Bible tells you thou shalt not kill. That's what the Bible says, thou shalt not kill. Yeah. Right? Because think about it. It's man's law say if here in Michigan has a do not back down law. Right? The same law in Florida, don't back down law, right? The do not back down law. Do you know this was the law that allowed Zimmerman to get off for unaliving Trayvon Martin after he attacked Trayvon Martin?
That's right.
Trayvon Martin started to defend himself, right? Now, he probably dropping them 5-4 Bs on the Edomite, and the Edomite pulls out a firearm and unalives this young black man coming back from the store to his father's house in a financially well-off community. Because to Zimmerman, niggas can't have money. He says he immediately profiled the boy as he immediately profiled Tayshaun as somebody that's breaking in houses and a thief. And he said they always get away with it. Never asked him any questions, ran up on him and told him to hold up. So he immediately became when I say he, I meant the Zimmerman immediately became the authority. Right? He the law. Zimmerman the law now. When the law told him to leave him alone and back down.
That's right.
We in this, I'm gonna say it like Tupac said it, white man's world. Mm-hmm. This is not our rest. This is not our heaven. Not yet. But when Christ returned and cracked that sky, and these individuals go to war against our king, and he finished him off within an hour.
Okay.
Right? When he finished him off within an hour, then will begin our reign. And guess what we're gonna do? We're gonna treat these Edomites like they was good dogs. We're not gonna do them like they did us. We're gonna at least treat them as good as the dog.
Yeah.
That Edomite and talked to Christ, and she said, "What? Can the dog eat the crumbs?" And I'm paraphrasing from the children's, from the children's table.
That's right.
And the dogs eat the crumbs from the children's table. Understand that black folk, when you have a meeting, when we used to have gatherings with the family, we would have the adult table, and you got the children's table. Children's table was always messy because what? Kids spill food, spill drinks, right? And this This Edomite, she just wanted to eat the crumbs that fell from the children's table, right? And Christ was merciful on her. He said, "All right, bitch, go eat it." And you know, her daughter was healed because she knew her place. Because she knew her place.
Yeah, and if I could, Abuan, you
Please.
know, because on this point of, you know, these fancy girls, like that position for them is so fitting. You know what I mean? Like it takes such a cruel, uncompassionate human being to do something like this sex trafficking that they were doing. You're gonna breed women to look a certain way so that you can sell them as sex slaves. Why would the Lord want you to rule this planet Earth?
Why?
You know what I mean? Like it says, when the wicked rule, the people mourn.
Yes, sir.
These people that are ruling the earth are an absolute virus. You know what I mean? Like this fancy girl thing. There's so many things they've done. You know what I mean? This specific title. You know what I mean? This is one of the ones that's a little. You know, I hate to say it, but you know, I get a little emotional on it because
you might have to. You gotta hold back the emotions.
Like how you could do this to a little child, a little girl, a little boy. You know what I mean? There was that sister. I love that clip. Oh shoot, what's her name? The sister that wrote the Bluest Eye book. You know what I mean? And I could picture her saying, you know, how she couldn't understand how white mothers could be so cruel to set a school bus on fire with children in it. It's so fitting what Christ said that, you know, these people are dogs. And for Christ to actually show some mercy to a woman like this who recognized her place, again, speaks to the compassion of Blacks, Hispanics, and Indigenous. It speaks to the compassion that, you know, Christ had on people. I mean, Christ would never rule the planet Earth with, you know, these kinds of things happening. Like it says, when Christ comes back, every knee shall bow. Nobody's gonna have a choice.
Shall confess.
Yeah, like nobody's gonna have a choice when Christ comes back. He's going to be ruling the planet Earth, and like it says in Jeremiah 31, there's not going to be tears anymore because there won't be fancy girls in the kingdom of heaven
or boys.
There will. Oh, good night.
Think about this. You know, imagine you having a son. You got how many sons, sir?
I think 5.
Right. That's cool. You don't got to know exactly.
It's something like that.
Right. And think about this. Right. I ain't gonna even put in one of these Edomites raise his voice at your son. Right. We didn't even talk about him putting your son in the servitude. We talking about he raised his voice. Stupid little Nick. You gonna pop him in stupid little Nick? Because, and I'm gonna look at you like, sir, he could have said nincompoop. Anything that started with an N, you was gonna do it. So, right? That's how we are about our children, right? So imagine, I gotta find that scripture in. Do you know that scripture in Deuteronomy? I think it might be 48, where it says you don't, your kids will be sold, and you won't have the mic in your hand.
Yeah, I know what you're referencing.
Right, and understand is that they were selling. With them selling their children, there's nothing I can say about that. when they're selling their children, but when they were selling our people, our brothers and sisters, now it's like because we were just property and cattle to them. It's so right now. It's so hard to fathom. Right? Look at our people. Our people say, "Oh, that was such years ago." Well, it's hundreds of thousands of black women missing in the United States right now. Right? It's tens of thousands of hundreds of thousands of black Native American Hispanic women missing in the United States right now. What do you think was happening to them? Right? It was an incident right here in the city of Detroit. I think I told you about this story. This is maybe about 2 years ago. Right there on Grand River and Greenfield, a white woman driving a van with 3 black children in the back. The police pulled this van over for running a red light, right? The officer that was driving was white. The officer that was in the passenger seat was black, right? So the officer that was driving, he gets out the car, walks up to the woman. He's talking to her. This white woman is driving the car. The black officer is backing him up like he's supposed to. They're partners. He's backing him up. So as the white officer talks to the woman, he brings her over to the car, asks her for a license, registration, proof for insurance. She says she doesn't know where it's at, blah, 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 right? So he's telling her, all right, we need you to just slow down, right? As he's doing that, the black officer goes and talks to these children, these 3 black children that's in the car, right? So he's talking to the 3 black children that's in the car. As the white officer is releasing the white woman back to the car, the black officer pulls his gun out, aims it at the white woman, and tell her to get on the ground. His partner is oblivious. His white partner is oblivious to what's going on, right? So even though this black officer has pulled his gun out, this white officer still has not pulled his gun out to back up his partner, right? She ends up getting on the ground. The black officer goes over there and handcuffs her. The guy say, his white partner say, what's going on? He said, the black officer said, I talked to the children. This woman lured, now it's 3 children, their ages were between 6 and 10. He said, this woman lured the youngest child into the car. So the older 2 children didn't want to leave the youngest child, so they went with him. When he walked up to the car, they're in the back crying. So he's trying to figure out why they're crying. And he said, well, he told him what happened. Like, hey, he lured the little sister into the car. Once they lured the little sister in the car, they got into the car so they can be with the little sister. They didn't want to separate from her because they didn't know what was going to happen to her. Trying to protect this baby sister. Imagine if it had been 2 white officers. You'd have had 3 black children that disappeared off the face of this earth. You never know, right? And the issue is that they police us so heavily that they give themselves a pass, right? I don't know if you're familiar with what's the white boy that just got out of jail that dope dealers praise, white boy Rick, right? White boy Rick was making millions of dollars selling dope at 14, 15 years old. He worked for the police until they couldn't benefit off him no more, and then locked his ass up. They give their people a pass when our people, to them, we're cattle. We're something they can make money off of. Come to find out, that same van that had them kids in it was stolen. Right? So if, just say you or I had a stolen vehicle, right? You or I had a stolen vehicle. It's no way in hell these officers, this white officer is going to walk up to the car without his gun out.
No, you ain't lying, one. I had seen a video today, where I'm not sure if you saw it. Zarak had posted it, where it was a police officer speaking on or what was it? It was a chief of police was fired.
Yes.
Because he was speaking about all the niggers that he was unaliving or something like that.
He said he took out 13 of them.
Yeah.
In his career, he took out 13 of them.
God. Just fired. Like this. Yeah, I mean, you're not making this shit up. Like this is the reality of, you know, being here in America.
Yes.
If I could, I had a video that you had sent me on the fancy girls. I didn't watch it. I'm not sure if you wanted to
Yeah, please. You know, let's get back on subject.
Yeah.
You know, we could talk about the how diabolical this oppressor is to us. We could go on and on and on with that. All right, but let's get back to the fancy girls, because I might have to give me a double shot after this class. You never know. This is something I didn't think that was going to be as touching.
Step back in time to the 1800s in the United States.
It's lucky. Just let me get my volume up.
Okay.
Or let me know if you can hear this. Okay.
States, a period when the slave market had a peculiar obsession with light-skinned black young girls known as fancy girls. Quite astonishingly, white men would pay up to $2,000 for a fancy girl, an amount equivalent to nearly $80,000 today. To put this into perspective, with $2,000, one could acquire 500 acres of land, or even
Pause that. So you got to understand is these fancy girls were worth 500 acres of land.
Damn.
Right? 500 acres of land. Imagine if you had 500, and look. Remember, you said the one plantation was selling 20 to 25 women
a year. That's right.
So what's 500 times 20,000? What's that? 100,000? You gotta be trying to count and shit. You know that. What's that? 500 times 20 is 10,000. Yep, 10,000. Right. So he's selling 10,000 acres of land a year. You're a real estate guru.
Yeah, people don't realize, a lot of people don't realize the amount of wealth that has been passed down, you know what I mean, from generation to generation to our oppressors. Like, they have so much accumulated wealth. Like, it's so biblical that it requires, like when it says in Revelations that they shall, you know, pay us back double. Like, you had us in captivity for 400 years. Do you know how much money you've stolen from us?
Just off of fancy girls.
Like how much labor, how much resources, how much accumulated wealth you've got off the backs of Blacks, Hispanics, and Indigenous. Like they're getting over 10,000 acres of land a year. One plantation. He said one of these girls would be worth, that's $80,000 today.
88,000.
88,000, 90,000.
Well, he said 80,000, but I looked it up on Google, and Google says 88,000.
God.
So, but we can go with 80,000. The numbers still come out close to that.
And all I pulled up was one plantation.
Yeah. And it says, oh, Salakia, sir.
Yeah, it's not. It's all I'm saying is it's not like it's just one plantation running this business.
Louisiana was known for selling fancy girls. Remember, they had all the Creole women down there, right? And a good percentage of those women were the light and fair skinned. What was that movie? Ease Bayou. You ever see that movie?
Bayou, not La.
Man, I ain't gonna even say nothing else about no movie today. Right? But majority of if you go back and look at that movie, it was a good percentage of the movie. The women in that movie was red bones and yellow bones. Yeah, so understand is that like I said, Louisiana was one of the biggest profiters off of fancy girls, right? Mississippi was one of the biggest profiter off of cotton, right? You keep going on and think about this is that even though we had industrial facilities still making and things like that going on in the north during the 1800s, right? Understand is that them owners of those still making facilities bought slaves because I thought about this nigga, I can go ahead and get him to work forever, right? It was just a different form of plantation. So they made steel in the north and they made cotton in the south, right? And all off the backs of our people. Understand is that those were trillions, hundreds of millions and trillions of dollars they made off of fancy girls. Think about this. We were in slavery for, 265 years, according to the documentation, right? So from 1600 to 1865 was the recorded slavery in the United States, right? Understanding 25 fancy girls a year. Now you're starting to talk trillions of dollars off of one industry, off of just selling sex slaves, right? We ain't talk about the cotton, right? We ain't talk about the steel mills, right? Because you had blacksmiths that forged steel, and these blacksmiths were slaves too. Think about the different industries that we have, because you don't think they were selling. Think about it. Not only that, they were selling food and vegetables and this, that, and the other thing during that time. So you had hundreds and thousands of industries that were built up off of the backs of Black, Native Americans, and Hispanics, off of the 12 tribes, in order and made this country Mississippi was the richest state during slavery. Mississippi was the richest state in the world during slavery. Mississippi, right? Now it's the poorest state because you no longer have free labor.
Okay.
What did the Mashah say?
We had Mashah just checking in. He was saying shalom, yeah, about Mashah.
See, this is a class he would have loved.
God.
Adawan, I wish he was here. Could have used your insight, right? We got another short video.
Yeah, if I could I play this back? I want to hear that.
Oh, let's finish that one there.
Step back in time to the 1800s in the United States, a period when the slave market had a peculiar obsession with light-skinned black young girls known as fancy girls. Quite astonishingly, white men would pay up to $2,000 for a fancy girl, an amount equivalent to nearly $80,000 today. To put this into perspective, with $2,000, one could acquire 500 acres of land or even 5 premium horses. A skilled craftsman of the time would need to work for a staggering 10 years to earn this sum. And brace yourselves, one of the highest prices recorded for a fancy girl was a whopping $5,233, around $200,000 in today's money. Indeed, owning a fancy girl became a status symbol among slave traders, gamblers, and saloon keepers. A dark chapter in history, yet one we must not forget.
Damn.
They paying $200,000 for a black woman.
Damn.
$200,000 for a black woman. That's what them diaries gonna be when Christ returns. Get your weight up. Man, right? And you sisters out here, you know, you got sisters out here selling themselves for $40.
Damn, you know, and if I could say one thing to this too, you know, this is definitely something I hate. It's like there's something inside of me boils up when I see a black sister with a European man.
Oh, wait.
Like,
you think he got a fancy girl?
Good night. Like he's with you, you know, and it's like he's looking at you like his slave. Like you're here to please him. You understand? And you can see this shit goes all the way back to slavery.
Yep.
You know, where he's willing to spend $200,000 on you so that he can just, you know, have sex with you whenever he wants or do whatever he wants with you. You know what I mean? It's a very sad thing that I see. I see it so much, especially in Windsor. That's something I've been I definitely want to do a lecture on. Because man, interracial marriage in Windsor is running rampant.
You see it a lot in like when I used to live in Columbus. You see it a lot down there in Columbus, right? But down there in Columbus, you seen the brothers with the devils.
Okay,
you seen that, right? When I lived in Taylor, right? You see it a lot in Taylor. They're called Taylor Tucky, right? Taylor is known for, you know, these brothers that have them a dog, and you know, so. But if you look at it, you got these sisters like Eve, and you know the rapper Eve.
God.
She married that dude that owned Virgin Records.
Oh yeah.
You got that sister. You got Serena Williams. You know, now understand. You know, shit. Half your football and basketball team, them niggas got them dogs. Right. So these brothers is going out doing it at a higher rate than the sisters are doing it. And with the brothers going at a higher rate doing it than sisters, at a higher number doing it than the sisters, understand there's less brothers than sisters in the United States. You understand? Women, you know, women outnumber men. Especially, you know, in our communities. I think the number was like 10-1 or something like that the last time we checked. Was this, you know, and the Bible tell you, you know, 7 women gonna take hold of 1 man. So you got at least a 1-to-7 ratio. And for the men, our brothers to outpace these sisters in these interracial marriages is diabolical. The oppressor know that in order for him to continue, he has to discard some she devils. You see what I'm saying? We got to discard some she devils. So that's why, you know, these brothers is planting seed inside these devils. They don't care because they know that's going to keep them away from you have few, you know, black abolitionists that are married to other nations. You know, what's his name? Dave Chappelle try to act like he's a upcoming blacks. Yeah. You can't be a supporter of black folk unless you got a black spouse. That's the first. That's rule 1, ain't it?
You can't support black people unless you're in the ISUPK.
Well, I apologize for being so ignorant. You're right, sir.
But I understand what you're saying for sure.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, ignorant just means unknown. You're right, but you know, you can't if you ain't in the UPK, following these laws, statutes, and commandments, you can't really truly support black folk.
Yeah.
You'll mess around and start letting Africans in your group. You know, you'll start teaching the brothers that they can rape these women, sexually assault these women in your group. You know, your wife will come out and tell everybody how she be pegging you if you ain't in the ISUPK.
Mm-hmm.
These are things that happen in the ISUPK, right? You know, and another thing that I just found out the other day. Matter of fact, I found this out talking to you. That the leader of the Pepper Gang was in 3 different groups and caused division in every group until he became the leader of one. But you want to take us out, sir?
Yeah, that's heavy. You know, so with that, Thwada for everybody tuning in. Again, make sure you like, share, subscribe to these classes. Tune in tomorrow night, 7 to 9 p.m. Scripture breakdown with Priest and Captain, the 10,000 Hadaria Allah. All right, this is another history class. Thwada for tuning in. Yahba Shem Shabbat Thumb to the brothers. Yahweh Shemar Thumb Yahweh Shai to all the sisters. With that, I'm going to say shalom.